Episode 10, You Are My Angel. Love you. Ning Shi, Wang producer, and Yi screenwriter are all very satisfied with you, but in reality, it's cruel. Having passion alone isn't enough for acting, what matters most is funding. Sometimes, things like the cast aren't within our control. Ultimately, who calls the shots? The one who invests the most money calls the shots. Ning Shi's heart sank as she listened. Had she been replaced after all? Then why did Changli notify her to come for filming? Last night, Director Ning did approach me. He thought you were a newcomer and disagreed with using you. However, Director Guo paused. Ning Shi was so anxious that she wished she could reach through the phone and shake the director. Couldn't he just say everything at once? However, Ning Shi, you're lucky. Another investor has a high opinion of you and insists on having you for the role of Meng Chang'e. So, give it your best. Really? Ning Shi's heart, which had fallen, suddenly soared again. It was too thrilling. She felt like the director had played with her emotions. Director Guo, are you doing this on purpose? You almost gave me a heart attack. Haha, young people are so impatient. Can you please give me a straight answer? Have I been replaced or not? You haven't been replaced. The other investor put in 50 million. It's the combined investment of the Ning family and Starlight. So, he has the final say. But isn't the investor in this project only the Ning family and Starlight? How did another one suddenly appear? Ning Shi found it a bit strange. It's a newly added investment. You'll find out more later, Director Guo said with an air of satisfaction. Suddenly, an additional 50 million in investment. The total investment now amounted to 100 million, and most importantly, Director Guo's favorite actress, Ning Shi, was not swapped out by an inexperienced investor. How could he not be delighted? Alright, thank you, Director. Ning Shi hung up the phone, and just then, the door was pushed open with a creak. It was her drowsy little treasure. Ning Shi happily let out a cheer and rushed to hug her little treasure tightly, planting a big kiss on his cheek. My darling. You truly are my lucky star. You always help me out of danger. The Demon King outside the door watched his son get passionately kissed by the girl and felt somewhat left out. It was obviously his doing. But, whatever. Nothing was more important than seeing the girl's radiant smile. Lu Tingxiao walked over. Why are you so happy? Ning Shi hugged the little one who seemed a bit dazed from her sudden display of affection. The director just told me that I won't be replaced. The biggest investor in the drama likes me a lot. Is that so? Congratulations. Lu Tingxiao congratulated her sincerely. Ning Shi thought for a moment and touched her chin. However, the director didn't tell me who this investor is. Anyway, I'm sure he's someone incredibly stylish with excellent taste and extraordinarily handsome. Lu Tingxiao chuckled. Do you really think so? It must be the case. Ning Shi was quite protective, but suddenly remembered something. In that case, I might have to work during the day for some time, and there might be night scenes too. What should we do about Little Treasure? Lu Tingxiao didn't answer but looked at their son. Little Treasure, who had been hugged and kissed affectionately by Ning Shi, was in a very good mood. Even after hearing the bad news, he still had a happy expression on his little face. Then, he quickly trotted back to his room and returned with a writing board. The writing board read, Fighting. Ning Shi was moved to the brink of tears. Thank you, my darling. You are truly my angel. Lu Tingxiao watched the two hugging each other, and his gaze was unusually tender. Today was the official start of filming, and the location was an outdoor film studio on the outskirts. The first scene was set at a royal banquet where the emperor received foreign envoys. The seventh prince, Chu Beichen, and the seventh princess, Guaningrong, cleverly handled the provocations of the envoys. Ning Shi played the role of the virtuous consort, with minimal screen time, only requiring her to sit gracefully next to the emperor like a decorative vase. Even so, on such a scorching day, wearing layer upon layer of ancient clothing was no easy task. Ning Shi's costume was the most intricate, with the thickest fabric and heavy head ornaments. After just one scene, it might not be evident from the outside, but inside, she was completely soaked. As soon as the director yelled cut, two of Ning Shuelua's assistants rushed over. One fanned her while the other handed her water, and an ice cushion was already prepared on her chair. Ning Shi had no assistants by her side. After finishing her part, she couldn't even have a sip of water. With more scenes coming up and her clothes not allowed to be removed, she could only unbutton her collar slightly to let in some air. Everyone was praising Ning Shuelua's performance, and the director was equally appreciative. However, he turned to review Ningxi's shots repeatedly. Although she had no lines and only a few shots, her expressions were spot on. She exuded a seductive and languid aura, mixed with a hint of disdain for all, as she was preparing to destroy this kingdom with her own hands. Indeed, he could finally relax. At that moment, the production assistant, Xiao Li, suddenly called out in excitement, "Ning Laosher, your boyfriend has come to visit the set." Of course, Ning Xuelua was called Laosher as a form of respect. Suyen, dressed casually, walked over, followed by two of his subordinates carrying a large box and distributing ice cream to everyone. "Wow! It's Häagen-Dazs. Thanks to young Master Su for the treat. Ning Laosher is so lucky, she has her boyfriend visiting on the first day. Oh my god. Don't make us so envious. Holding ice cream won't shut your mouths." Ning Xuelua coquettishly chided, then took a box of ice cream and walked over to Ningxi. "Ning junior sister, you should have some too." "Thank you," Ningxi politely accepted. This woman always acted like an angel in front of others, especially in front of Suyen. It didn't bother Ningxi, she had seen enough, and after all, acting was her profession. Back at her seat, Ning Xuelua looked at Suyen, hesitated for a moment, then finally spoke, "Brother Yen, I'm a bit worried about Xiaoxi." "Yeah? What's wrong with Xiaoxi?" Suyen immediately asked. "Last night was the opening banquet, and my father also attended. Xiaoxi met him, and I don't know what she said, but it made him very angry. He was furious and wanted to have her replaced." "How did that happen?" Suyen frowned. "I don't know. When I arrived, I only saw my father, and he was so furious that his face turned green." "What happened afterward?" "Xiaoxi doesn't seem to have been replaced." Suyen looked in Ningxi's direction and saw that although she was drenched in sweat, she was still earnestly reading the script. Despite her disheveled appearance, her face still shone brightly under the sun. Ning Xuelua hesitated as she continued, "My father called the production team that night, and the team agreed to replace her over the phone. But unexpectedly, the very next day, someone anonymously invested 5 million, and the only condition was that the role had to be given to Ningxi. I'm worried." The more Suyen heard, the more his expression darkened. He finally said in a deep voice, "I know Xiaoxi well, and she would never do such a thing." "Brother Yen, you're too naive. What kind of place is the entertainment industry? People who enter this industry can change. I'm lucky because I have my father and your support, but Xiaoxi has had a falling out with her family, and she refuses to accept our help. An attractive girl like her, with no power or influence, what might she encounter in the entertainment industry? Don't you understand?" Suyen was slightly stunned, showing a thoughtful expression. "Ningxi, someone is looking for you." At this moment, the production assistant suddenly called out excitedly, sounding very eager. All eyes turned in that direction because it was so eye-catching. "Red roses?" A sea of red roses had been sent in continuously. By the time everyone had reacted, the entire set had turned into a sea of red. Ningxi was holding a card, and her face turned dark. The card had a single line, "Remember to pick me up at the airport, let your king." "Ning miss, please sign for it." Can I not sign? Having all this here is really affecting everyone's work." Ningxi tried to refuse as politely as possible. "We can't do that. We promised the customer that we must see you sign before we can leave." The flower delivery guy looked embarrassed. At that moment, a props assistant took the opportunity to persuade her, "Ningxi, please accept it. It just so happens we need roses for a scene later, so thanks to you, we don't have to prepare them separately." Since the props assistant put it that way, Ningxi didn't want to make it difficult for the staff. She reluctantly pinched her eyebrows and quickly signed her name. At this point, everyone on set was whispering with envy. "Oh my god. So many roses. How romantic. Who sent them? Do you even need to ask? It must be an admirer. Beautiful women get special treatment. Someone sent her flowers on the first day of shooting, and it's a whole field of them." At this point, Ning Xuelua's assistant, Cui Kaijing, couldn't hold back and muttered, "With so many, it probably didn't cost much." As soon as she finished speaking, someone else came over, saying they had something for Ningxi. This time, it wasn't as extravagant, as they carefully handed her a small box. Everyone leaned in curiously, wondering what was in the box this time. Ningxi opened it with a skeptical expression, and inside was a sparkling diamond with a note that read, "Long time no see." The signature was YS. As she stared at those two letters, Ningxi's complexion grew even darker. Darn it. Did none of them coordinate? All she wanted was to keep things low-key, but why was it so difficult? In just half a day, with flowers and now a diamond, the whole crew was in an uproar. Oh my god. That diamond is huge. It's blinding my eyes. Ningxi's admirers are so crazy. This time, Cui Kaijing finally couldn't say anything, muttering with reluctance, who knows if it's real. Ningxi slumped in her chair, looking disheartened. What was meant to happen would happen. There was no escaping it. Ningxi had no choice but to apologize to the director. I'm sorry, Director Gua, for causing trouble for the production team. Director Guoxing didn't mind and waved his hand with a smile. A graceful lady and a gentleman are good partners. No problem at all. Besides, we got to share in your flowers. Not far away, Ning Xuelua maintained a calm exterior, but inside, she was seething with anger. How could she not be jealous? The country bumpkin who was once so uncultured had now become the object of such madness for men. She could effortlessly obtain what Ning Xuelua had to work so hard for. While waiting for the next scene to start, Ningxi quickly found a corner and made a phone call. Hey, darling, did you receive the package? The voice on the other end of the phone was very relaxed. Jiong Mai. You son of a bitch. Are you sincere? Ningxi's temper flared. TSK, you're the first person to receive my roses and call me a son of a bitch instead of thanking me. Is your mouth too heavy? Don't change the subject. What do you want? I don't want anything. I'm just reminding you to pick me up at the airport, remember? You already agreed. You dare to have me pick you up? Aren't you afraid I'll bring a 40-meter machete to kill you, you idiot? Ningxi suppressed her murderous desires. Are you trying to back out now? The voice on the other end of the phone turned cold. I'm picking you up on the condition that you lend me 8 million, but I don't need it anymore. Didn't I message you about this? I don't care. You've already agreed to it. Even though it didn't work out in the end, you agreed as soon as you asked, and it's such a large sum of money. This isn't just a matter of politeness, isn't it? You hate owing people favors, don't you? Isn't this a favor? Ningxi supported her forehead and paced back and forth. I won't mention the flower incident that you sent me, but you know that news about your return next month has already leaked, and the airport will be filled with your fans and the media. Do you want me to be torn apart by them? Jiong Mai, haven't I dumped you once? Is there a need to target me like this? Me? Doi? I'm giving you a free chance to become famous. Many minor celebrities would beg for this chance but couldn't get it. No, thank you. Alright. You don't want to, huh? If you don't come, I'll tell the whole world that you dumped me. I don't care about losing face anymore. I want everyone to demand justice for me. The voice on the other end of the phone had a tone as if they weren't afraid of being embarrassed. You? Ningxi was close to exploding, and she had never done anything as foolish as provoking Jiong Mai in her life. Little brat, you think I can't handle you? A faint smile appeared on Ningxi's lips as she replied, okay, I'll pick you up. You'd better not regret it when the time comes. On Jiong Mai's end, he was merely causing trouble because he had been dumped for the first time. After he had vented enough, he would be fine. What made her headache even more was the freak who sent the diamond. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Let's cross the bridge when we get there. Ningxi, someone is looking for you. Ningxi had just walked out of the corner and heard the urgent voice of the production assistant. She was scared to death and wished she could run away. Who was it this time? It's not over yet. The crew members immediately perked up, wondering if there was something even more sensational this time. In the corner, Cui Kaijing sneered, these nouveau riche businessmen only know how to throw money around. They're so low class. Miss Ningxi, hello. This time, a timid young girl had come. Seeing that Ningxi's complexion wasn't great, she thought she had done something wrong and looked anxious. Facing such a girl, even if Ningxi was angry, she couldn't bring herself to vent at her. It's okay, do you have something to tell me? I'm here to deliver something. The young girl opened a white box that looked like a thermos, and layers of cool mist emerged. Inside were 3 bottles of fruit juice that appeared to be red, yellow, and green. What is this? Ningxi's lips twitched slightly. After watching too much palace drama, her first thought was whether someone was trying to poison her. This was personally made by my family's young master. There's watermelon juice, orange juice, and mung bean soup. The young girl answered. Who is your family's young master? Ningxi was puzzled as she tried to recall if there was a young master who loved making juice among the people she had provoked. The young girl motioned for her to look at the label on the bottle. Ningxi peeled it off and saw a single English word, fighting, accompanied by a heart. She could even imagine the shy expression on the person's face when they drew that heart. It's little treasure. Ningxi's gaze softened as her jumbled emotions momentarily settled. Originally, she was most worried that she had just started, and if she were too high profile, it might attract unnecessary trouble and gossip. Now that she thought about it, why should she care about the opinions of people who don't care about her? If she constantly worried about others' opinions in this line of work, she'd exhaust herself. In the past, she lived with too much concern about the judgmental eyes of the so-called high society, her biological parents' attitudes, and what Suyen thought. She became increasingly self-conscious and lost herself. She already understood these principles long ago, but she got a bit flustered for a moment. She would be herself, do her best, and answer only to her conscience. One day, she would prove herself with her own abilities. She fought only for the people who cared about her. Put these things down and help me thank your family's young master, Ningxi said as she took out her phone to send a message to Little Treasure. Although it seemed like everyone on the set was busy with their tasks, in reality, they were all watching Ningxi, curious about what had been sent this time. It turned out that they saw 3 bottles of fruit juice. The first time, Ningxi appeared quite uncomfortable with the roses, and the second time with the diamond didn't seem to surprise her much. However, this time, Ningxi had a happy expression on her face as she sent a text message. People around couldn't help but comment. Oh, it seems that in this day and age, money can't win a beauty's heart, it's all about sincerity. Yes, didn't the young lady just say that it was fruit juice made by someone's own hands? How sweet. I bet the person who sent the fruit juice will win her heart. Then I'll bet on the diamond. Why isn't anyone betting on sending flowers? After drinking the fruit juice and mung bean soup, Ningxi felt revived and continued with her scene. Meanwhile, at home, while taking a break and spending time with her son, Lu Tingxiao's phone made a ding sound. A notification indicated a new message, and it was from Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao opened it and smiled slightly. Darling, thank you for the fruit juice and mung bean soup. They were super delicious. Love you. Lu Tingxiao looked at it for a while, then waved to his son, who had been gazing out the window in a daze. Little Treasure, come here. Little Treasure paid him no attention. Lu Tingxiao sighed softly. You have a message from Aunt Xiaoxi. Little Treasure rocketed over like lightning, jumping to reach for the phone. Lu Tingxiao held the phone up high. You can see it, but you have to say, Daddy, first. The little guy protested, refusing to cooperate. He only gave in when he was almost in tears from frustration, and Lu Tingxiao finally handed the phone to him. Watching his son, who was happily hugging the phone and looking at it with satisfaction, Lu Tingxiao wore a concerned expression. Perhaps because there were so few things that bothered him in this world, that's why the Emperor had sent Little Treasure to test him. Little Treasure was incredibly intelligent, speaking at just 6 months old. Though he had a quiet temperament and didn't talk much, he hadn't spoken a word since that incident. Lu Tingxiao had missed too much of Little Treasure's childhood, and by the time he wanted to make up for it, he realized it was too late. He didn't know when he would hear his son call him Daddy again. Little Treasure stared at the phone for a long time, as if there was something he didn't understand. Then he leaned over to his father, pointing to the words, I love you, as if to ask what it meant. It's an expression, it doesn't have any special meaning, Lu Tingxiao replied earnestly. Oh Appa, don't teach Little Treasure anything bad. I love you is the Korean way of saying I love you. Lu Jingli bounced over, holding a heart-shaped sign. Little Treasure gave his father a disdainful look, then pitter-pattered away to continue making juice. While Lu Tingxiao was proficient in 12 languages, if Ningxi had written in Korean, he would naturally understand. However, in this format, he definitely wouldn't get it. Aren't you working? Lu Tingxiao gave Lu Jingli a cold glance, his expression befitting a boss managing his subordinate. Lu Jingli immediately brought a chair over, sitting down with an excited expression. Boss, I have something very important to report to you. Lu Tingxiao couldn't be bothered to respond, wearing an expression that said, if you don't have anything important to say, don't waste my time. Lu Jingli waved his hands excitedly. Do you know what I just found out? Today, one of Xiaoxi's admirers went to the set and brought her gifts. That was Little Treasure who sent her the fruit juice and mung bean soup, Lu Tingxiao said calmly. I know, but before little treasure sent her something, there were two other people who sent her gifts. One person sent a whole set of red roses for the entire set, and another person sent a large diamond. Lu Tingxiao's expression gradually grew colder on this scorching summer day.